Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Kathie J Show. How are you today? I'm your host, Kathie J. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm really happy to see all of you. I got to say thank you to everybody out there who's following us on our social media. But I really want all of you to please go to my YouTube channel. It's Kathie J, and subscribe and like it. I really would appreciate it. That's the best way to follow what we're doing here on the Kathie J Show. So today I am talking to a Colorado lady who wrote this book, everybody, and it's called Staying Sane in an Insane World from A to Z. The title grabs your attention, and then when you get into it, you realize this is a nice, easy read. I like all this. So to learn more about this awesome book, I had to invite her to come on the show. Joining me today, please welcome our author, Erin Hice. Yay!
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
So Erin, I really enjoyed this book.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for writing it. So much great advice in here. If you wouldn't mind, could you tell me, first off, you're a military kid, right?
I am.
Okay, tell me about that.
So as a military kid, we moved all the time. And on average, every couple of years, we would pick up. And it wasn't like moving from Denver to Breckenridge. We moved across the country.
Whole new place, whole new everything you had to get used to.
New schools, new everything. And to add complexity to that, it was during the Vietnam War. So my dad was deployed. So there's my mom and my brother. So it was really just the three of us for a couple of years. And there is my dad, who was a fighter pilot.
Right.
So yes, he was gone, and it was an interesting time.
It had to be hard.
It
has to be hard for any child whose parents are deployed.
Yeah.
And you know, the worry of not knowing if they're going to come home, and then just not being there for your everyday growing up.
Right. But there was an upside. This amazing upside was every time that we moved, the military family was there for you.
That's good.
So our neighbors were our buddies, the kids down the street, they were our friends.
Yeah.
And that really was huge for all of us. That was a huge blessing.
You had said in the book, if there was a military member that wasn't deployed, they were kind of the acting parent on duty. Yeah.
Yes.
So why did you write this book?
I wrote it actually for my sons, because I knew they were kind of getting ready to get out of the house. And I wanted them to have something tangible. When they left, they could take it, because I wanted them to remember where they came from, what our values are, how they were raised, because there's so much out there in the world, and if they get confused or they miss the lesson that day, they could go back to chapter whatever and go, oh yeah, she beat that through my head.
Okay, so that is what I wanted to ask you. So is this a situation where you have always talked like this? You've always been this prepared? There you are with your sons and your husband.
Yes.
So who do we have here?
So my oldest son is the dark-haired one on the left with the beard. My youngest son is the one on the right with the glasses.
Yeah.
And my husband, who puts up with all of us, is in the middle.
God bless those men that
God
put up
bless
with all
those
of us.
men. Yes.
Okay, so back to this. So have you always spoken like this? Have
Yes.
you always been, you've always just known,
Yes.
be centered, have your boundaries? I mean, because that's really what you talk about in here, is take care of you first.
Yes, that was my dad. It was all about say what you have to say. He didn't need anything extra. Just say what you have to say.
And, you know, and there is a blessing in that, because a
There
lot of
is.
times we want to talk all the way around, when sometimes getting to the point saves so
Yes.
much time and emotion.
Yes.
Yeah, but it can hurt sometimes too, Erin.
I know. I have to be careful. Because sometimes my sons look at me like, you really didn't have to say that. So I have to kind of be careful.
I like how you sugarcoated it in the book. So when we come back, everybody, Erin's going to talk about authenticity and what that really means in our lives. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Oakwood Homes is an official partner of the Kathie J Show. Oakwood Homes, building happiness. Welcome back to the Kathie J Show, everybody. So staying sane in an insane world means learning to be authentic. The author of this amazing book, Erin Hice, is here. Yay! You know this all too well, so how to stay sane in an insane world.
I try.
Yeah. Now, Erin, I love the book, and everybody, I want you to definitely pick this up, because you can go, so it's A to Z. So if you want to, you know, like just go to the chapter on P, it's purpose, you know, and every single letter you have a great, word and explanation on how we should be living our lives and how, if we live it the right way, we can stay sane.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Hopefully.
the secret. That's the
That's
secret.
the goal.
But it starts with our soul and us being authentic to who we are.
Yes.
Explain that.
For me, authenticity is like, that's square one. That's where we start. Because if we're not authentic, how does anything else in our lives make sense? How do you have true friends? How do you rely on yourself? You don't even know who you are. So,
but there is a thing of when you're trying to find out who you are, Erin, where you're like, does this feel right? Does this feel right? At one point, you thought maybe you were a sorority girl.
Oh. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we all think I got to keep up with the Joneses. Maybe this is what I need to do.
And that's it.
Explain that.
Well, so I got to back up a little bit. I had changed high schools twice.
Okay. Because you moved so much, right?
Because I moved so much. So in the 9th grade, I went to a high school. In the 10th grade, we went to a different part of the country to a different high school. My whole focus, and because I was young, 17, 16, was I need to fit in. I got to fit in.
Oh, that sucks. Because that was kind of survival.
That was survival for me. And so everybody said, well, when you go to college, you have to join a sorority. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. So I did, and I just couldn't. It was not the things that were important to them, and I am not knocking
Those
a
weren't
sorority.
your kind of girls.
It just wasn't.
Those aren't my kind of girls either. Everything's different to different people.
Yes.
And you knew the way you were feeling that wasn't authentic to who you were.
Right. And part of it was I worked through college.
Yeah.
And so while they were at the parties, I had to go to work.
Yeah, and that's not cool. I was the working girl in college too.
Right.
It was not cool.
Right.
But you know what? It's character. It builds character.
It builds character.
And that's also in here as well, as you got to work on your character.
You do. You can't be just following the latest trend or the crowd. And that's what I felt like I was doing.
Right.
I felt like I was living a lie. And it caught up with me, and I had to choose.
It caught up with me too in the form of bill collectors.
It
catches up with you if you're trying to keep up with people and you're not doing it right.
It does. It
but
absolutely
you know what?
does.
The unrealistic standards that we give ourselves is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And when we start to do that, there's got to be a way that we rein ourselves back in to say, obviously I'm on the wrong path.
Right.
And that's kind of where your book guides us, right? That's what you want us to use your book for.
Yeah, I think we all kind of fall into the trap of looking outside. Everybody outside can tell us what's important to us.
Yeah.
And it's just not true. Everything that we need to know that's important to us is inside. And there's a quote in the book, because I love quotes. And
you got great quotes in here.
And one is, you'll know the truth by the way that it feels. And that's so true. We know our truth, and we can pretend to be something or someone we're not, but it catches up with us. And hopefully at that defining moment, we turn, we make the choice to do what's right for us.
And not live in the resentment or whatever is going to hold us back and ruin the rest of our lives.
Or just trying to pretend, trying to live this weird lie.
Okay, so say one more time. You know the truth in the way it feels.
By the way that it feels.
All right, when we come back, everybody, Erin's going to talk to us about ownership of our lives and something called Victimville. We'll be right back.
Kathie J.
The Colorado Lottery is an official partner of the Kathie J Show. Colorado Lottery, play on.
Kathie J.
Welcome back to the Kathie J Show, everybody. So, how do we stay sane in this insane world of ours? Well, author Erin Hice. Yay, Erin, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So, Erin wrote this awesome book, and I loved reading it. I loved sharing it with people, so I want to share it with you. So, it's her knowledge about being you and trying to maintain you as you go through life. Now, Erin was raised as a military kid, so you've moved every couple years you were moving. So, you learned a lot on just how to handle the hits of life.
Right.
So one of the things you have in here, the O in A to Z is for ownership. We're responsible for ourselves.
Right.
Okay, please remind everybody of that.
Okay, so ownership to me, I view life as a tire. And I view every chapter in that book as a spoke. So it's busyness and quiet and simplify, all those things. And if you're paying attention and you're managing your life, it rolls pretty smoothly.
Yes.
But you always hit a pothole.
Always.
Or catch a nail or have a blowout. And that's when you think, I got to get back. I have to get back to the very basics, to the ground level of who I am, what's important to me, how I'm going to spend my time, and how I'm not. So ownership to me is we have to own it all, because who's going to do it for us?
Yeah, right. I mean, you can't keep blaming people for situations that you're in.
Right.
Eventually, it's you. Right. Maybe it's you.
Maybe it's me. It all comes back to me.
Yeah. And you know, I do think though, all of our answers that we look for is when I get that promotion, when I get that boyfriend, when I lose that weight. It's always, you know, based on something that we're doing, instead of just saying, do it now, be happy now.
Right.
The compass says you're missing it by focusing there.
If not now, when?
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. And if not, and if it's never going to happen, stop talking about it, because you also are big on whatever narrative you're having is what you're going to do.
Yes. Whatever spins around in our head all day long, that's what we're thinking about. So isn't it funny how that's usually what happens? Because that's what we've been thinking about.
So start thinking about better stuff.
Yes.
Don't think about the bad things that are happening.
Yes.
Rely on that compass. And then that kind of goes into victimville. A lot of people can think about what has happened to them so much that they don't move on. Whether it was a divorce, a job that they lost, something like that, it holds them in time.
Yes.
And time is something that we'll never get back.
Right.
So talk about victimville.
So victimville, and I've done this to myself. That's how I could write about it. And I said, okay, this rotten thing happened, and you can go on until you're going, wow, my life really stinks. Yeah. But then you have to turn it around and go, but what about the millions of things that worked out so perfectly? And
we
so
never think about that because they just worked out, Erin.
Right.
Right. You never focus on them. All you can think about is what you're stuck on that held you up.
Right. So I say, instead of getting stuck on where we were, it's a choice. It's a conscious decision to say, I'm not going to think about that. I'm thinking about when X happened and it was fabulous.
Yes.
And I couldn't have planned it any better.
Right.
And I think that's our frame of mind. And if you're going to stay sane in a crazy world, you have to think about those things, the great things that happen and the great things that are going to happen.
Yeah, you have to remember good things are going to happen, because if you're stuck in yesterday, you're not living for tomorrow.
No, and you're not even living. You know, it's just an endurance test at that point.
And here's the beauty of this. Erin, you're not a therapist. You're not a life coach. You're none of this.
Nope.
None of this. You're just somebody that is raised by a military dad that's got that straight to the point
He
attitude.
was my therapist.
He was your therapist, absolutely. So I want to also talk about worrying, because we worry too much in this world. Okay, your dad said don't worry.
Well, my dad, and if anybody should worry, if you're a fighter pilot deployed in a war, you probably have a pretty good reason to worry. But he was all about, no, you just keep it moving, keep it moving. And I did worry a lot. And when you have young kids and you worry about all of the things that impact your kids and what happens at school, so you do worry. Then I thought, it was another defining moment for me. And I got to a point where I thought, you know what? I have prepared, I have planned, I have executed. This is what I want to happen. But if it doesn't, you know what? That's not where I'm supposed to be. But worrying about it isn't going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Isn't going to make any of it any better. So I need to just keep it moving.
But that leap of faith is what people can't do.
And it's
that
hard.
They will work and work and work, but that final release to see what freedom brings them with the next door opening. People we're too scared to go there. We'd rather worry than embrace it.
And we're control freaks.
Yes,
it's like,
we are.
I got to make this happen.
Make it happen.
But some of the worst things in our lives have been the ones that we forced to happen.
Yes, you're right. Or that we stayed knowing something bad was going to happen. We didn't leave.
Yes.
So yes, you're right, Erin. So everybody, when we come back, we're going to talk about like refocusing those negative thoughts and moving on. We'll be back.
Kathie J.
Ramos Law is an official partner of the Kathie J Show. He's a medical doctor and a lawyer. Ramos Law, what makes us different makes us better.
Kathie J.
Welcome back to the Kathie J Show, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. Erin, it has been wonderful having you on the show.
It's been wonderful being here.
It goes really fast, doesn't it?
It does.
It goes so fast. So Erin Hice is the author of Staying Sane in an Insane World from A to Z. And we're exploring every chapter. But Erin, I want to know, when you You said that this has kind of always been how you've spoken, and it's because your military father raised you.
Right.
So this is how you spoke and raised your sons as well.
Absolutely.
You told him like there's an A to Z in life. Did you kind of do that, or did the concept of the book come later?
No, I actually have worked on that for about a decade, but
Really?
I wanted it to be simple. I wanted
Yeah.
it to be a quick read, and I wanted it to be my voice, so that when my sons picked it up, it was like, oh, I remember when she was telling me all about that.
So there was times that you sat them down and said, resilience. There's nothing like resilience,
Yes,
boys.
because things happen
Yeah.
in high school and junior high, and boys are like, stuff happens.
Yes.
And it's like, boys, come on, you just can't. You just got to pick it up and keep it moving.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes.
So one of the things I also loved about the book, and it's what really stuck with me, is about change. Because we are so scared of change. The fear is what holds us back from living in life.
Right.
And so the book of the year, so which letter? E is for expectations.
Yes, I love that.
So life is a series of doors opening and closing, everybody. If we embrace this concept, we accept the endings as new beginnings with the faith that we're headed in the right direction, even if it doesn't seem that way at the time. We can only do this by holding loosely to what we expected life to look like, but be willing to travel the path that we never imagined.
Right.
That's where I am currently in my life. So it just so much of this book speaks to you in different parts of your life. And you said your sons do that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Whenever they
they
have
do.
a problem, they'll grab the book and be like, oh, that's what mom said about ownership.
Yeah.
Right? But talk
Yeah.
about moving on and not being scared.
Oh, well, we're all scared. And I mean, this book now almost is more relevant than when I wrote it because of the pandemic.
Yes.
And
We all
so-
need guidance right now, Erin.
Right?
Yeah.
We're all scared, or we were scared. A lot of people still are scared and live in fear. And,
Yeah.
and there was so much loss and devastation. But then you step back and you say, I can't live that way, because that's not living.
No, it's not.
So I have to expect more of myself than I do anyone else, because I own me. I'm the one who has to make these things happen. And I do believe in holding loosely. You know, you plan to the, and when I say let go, to me, people can think that that means you don't care.
Yes.
And it's not at all that
not
you
that.
don't care.
You're
It's,
just-
you care a lot.
It's just not controlling me.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Kind of. It's
That-
not in my forefront of thought.
No,
Right.
you do everything that you have to do to get where you want to be. You plan, you spend the time, you're meticulous about it, but then you do let go and you say, whatever is going to happen is going to happen, and I have to be okay with that.
That's the thing. You got to be accept that you have to be okay with it. That also falls into people that waste their lives being resentful about something,
Right,
right?
right.
You
And-
have to accept it, let it go, and say, I'm going to be okay with it, right?
Yeah, and for me, I play a little game in my head, and I think, what is the worst thing that could happen? And can I live
I play
with
a little
that?
game. I love to play a little game about what's the
In my
worst thing
head.
that would happen. But you know what? That's probably right. 'cause-
It is. And when you think, okay, if I could survive the worst thing, and we can, because we've
can.
survived a million things, then we let go. We say, it's going to work out. It's going to work out for the absolute best. And if you look back on your life in something that seemed so hard at that time, and you think, how am I going to get through this? It really did work out for the best, probably.
It did.
Certainly in my life, it has.
Yes, no, right. And if as long as you're following that compass, you're saying that your life will work out.
Yeah.
Because you're guiding, your soul's kind of guiding you. And that's about playing the hand you're dealt. This
Yeah,
is a big thing. And that
absolutely.
does sound like a military dad.
It is.
Play the hand you're dealt.
Yes.
Talk to everybody about that.
Okay, so we heard that 8 million times. Play the hand you're dealt.
Play the hand you're dealt.
And so we did. We had to. We didn't have a choice, right? We're young and we had to play that hand. And so many of the people that I know are dealt. Everybody's dealt something.
Yes.
It can come
Bad
in,
parents. It could come from moving all the time. There are some
Right.
military kids who stay in victimville.
Oh, they do. And I
Because
know
of how
them.
they moved and their parents weren't around. So, you
Yes.
know, it's your choices on how you choose, right?
It is. It absolutely is. And how are we going to play that hand? You know, are you going to say, yeah, I didn't really like that, but what have I learned from it? And I've learned so much from, you know, walking in. I was always the new kid, walking into the cafeteria with all of the girls that had known each other forever. And I walk in and they look at me like, oh, you got this horn in your head.
Yeah,
But that
yeah.
was the hand I was dealt. So you learn to again, you go within and you figure out what your strengths are, what you're good at, and you better be really clear on what you're not good at either, because then you're playing a game that you'll never win.
Exactly, trying to be somebody you're not.
Right.
So one thing that I loved this one. I'm going to repeat it one more time because at the end of every chapter, you have a really great quote that sums up what the chapter was about, but also it's a different way of thinking about what you just read, which was what I love. So everybody, life is like a coin. You can spend it any way you want, but you can only spend it once. That is a beautiful one. And the final quote you left in the book was peace. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm. Yeah, it's amazing. So Erin, I want everybody, please go grab a copy of Erin's book, Staying Sane in an Insane World from A to Z, and you can find it Amazon. You can find it Barnes & Noble, and you can order it directly from Erin's website, erinheiss.com. Erin, thank you so much. Do you have any final thoughts?
Well, I think the final chapter is, it's about you. So I say we all step out. Let's be bold. Let's forget the fear.
Thank you.